was a bit of a dream project, I think, for all of us. Obviously, we're all big Star Wars fans, as a lot of people are. But I think for us, because our heritage came from Star Wars, so the third floor was founded by 6 artists all brought independently together on the 3rd floor of George Lucas's Skywalker Ranch to work on Episode 3. So, especially for our founders, it was quite a personal coming home, if you like. So that was quite a challenge for me, I think, because I felt that pressure. I felt like we had to really do a great job. Not that I had any doubt the team wouldn't, but I think going in, we really felt that love and that pressure and that that need to do an incredible amount of work for it. And it started a lot of it was just very much a sort of story-orientated team. So it was very much Gareth Edwards, the director, had a sort of a creative hub, if you like, with us and storyboards and his editor all sort of in one room out at the studio. And it was really just his sort of process, if you like, of figuring out some of the key action sequences. And I think the challenge with that one was everyone knows what Star Wars is, but we're all used to the traditional canon films, the franchise films, and they have a certain style, they have a certain approach, they have certain key markers, if you like, that people expect to see. But now you're treating it as an anthology film. It needed to be divorced from that. It needed to have its own character, had its own tone, if you like, but still be respectful for the franchise overall. So that was a challenge, and how far you could push that was a constant question. What are you allowed to do within that world and not allowed to do, so to speak? How it's a war film of sorts. I think Gareth always described it as Apocalypse Now meets Star Wars. So that in itself creates all sorts of imagery that you wouldn't normally associate with Star Wars. So it was definitely a great challenge, I guess, for our teams to working with him to explore that space. It's more of a handheld camera approach as opposed to a traditional, more traditional filmmaking approach that George had sort of put into the films. And then looking at the whole film tonally and creatively with all those key big action sequences, they were a big part of what we did over the course of about 2 years worth of work. It's definitely a challenge. I think the key thing for us is all about collaboration. And our supervisors are extremely good at it. And, we put a lot of time into developing those supervisors and helping them with that sort of process so that they can kind of interact with all the different departments in a way that is conducive with that sort of production. But every director works differently. So some directors like to just keep the previs to themselves because it's their vision they're trying to create, and sometimes they're trying to explore the story and the action sequences themselves before they want to sort of show that to everybody else. Others are perfectly happy to have all the other departments involved, and production design helping us with the asset builds, and stunt teams telling us what they can and can't achieve, and so forth. I think the key thing for us is just to be very open-minded. I think we always want to be seen as very personable, very approachable, very collaborative orientated. I think if people feel there's an ego there or a prima donna that's our previous supervisor there that they can't get information out of or they're not sharing, I think it would be a disaster. I just don't think that's not conducive, I think, to that kind of model. So I think, involving the departments is quite a challenge. I know when I started my early career as a previs coordinator, in fact, that was my job, was to go around to each of the different departments, talk to the art director, talk to the production designer, talk to costumes, talk to stunts, talk to second unit, grips, gaffers, everyone. So they all understood what we were doing, and if there was any information we were generating that was of use, we would supply it. So, I was fortunate I was on films where the directors were perfectly happy for that to happen because they wanted us to share that. They wanted to everyone understand on set, this is what we're trying to achieve, because especially in this day and age when you've got such technically challenging projects, that's quite a challenge in itself. When you're just standing on stage with just a huge green screen, how do you engage all of the crew on set to achieve what it is you're trying to shoot for? And what better way than actually to see it live on stage or see a previs of that sequence and go, wow, this is going to be awesome. Like, that's fantastic. Now I feel really engaged and part of that process. So definitely that collaborative aspect of it, I think, is actually absolutely central. And, having a good relationship with the director is also very key. So, with our projects, we cast our shows. We don't resource them. We don't just take a group of artists and just plonk them on a project. We're very much, going through and saying, okay, who's the best fit for that team, for that supervisor, for that director, for that type of work? Are they strong with cameras? Are they strong with animation? What's the balance of that team? How well do they all work together? What is it the artists themselves want to work on? All these questions we ask ourselves weekly on every single project. We really look at the spread of all the talent across every project to find the best fit. And sometimes we have to shift that around as needs demand on the project. So it's all part of that process, if you like, to make sure you've got a really great, strong team of artists that are all working, extremely well at their best together, helping drive that vision forward. I think it's quite a focal point for me. It's this one point in the year where a lot of industry, friends and colleagues all come together, be able to sit and discuss where the industry's at, what the challenges are, what the trends are, and there's always a lot. Every year it's kind of interesting. Every year there's something new on the horizon that is kind of unsettling people about the future of the industry, if you like. So it's a great forum for everyone to be able to echo those and see if everyone's sharing those same concerns or seeking those same opportunities. But also it brings together all of the students. And I think that's a critical part of FMX, is that you're blending industry with the students. You're blending the current with the future of the industry. And I think that's so beautiful and such a great thing to celebrate, because they are the future. We're kind of they're the bastions of all the hard work we're doing. At some point we're going to get old and retire and want to make sure all the hard work we've done has been listened to and people are building on the things that we've created. So I think it's a great focal point for that.